I'd like to present an image delta analysis as part of grading these 10 Carson City Morgan silver dollars. 9 of the 10 were minted in the first year, 1878. The poorest condition example is from 1890. The grading ranges from brilliant uncirculated all the way to poor. Not to jump to the conclusion too quickly, suffice to say that grading is very difficult, and relying on a quantitative image delta analysis is not sufficient to arrive at a proper grade. Here's a review of the reverse, again from left to right, brilliant uncirculated all the way to poor. Here's a closer look at the reverse, the grading of these coins from brilliant uncirculated to poor condition. After this, we'll begin the image delta analysis. Okay, so the first step is to take high resolution imagery of each coin, the obverse and reverse. The next step would be to ensure that all the images were taken with the correct and identical lighting, and the images need to be all precisely the same size. The X and Y dimensions have to be exactly the same, and the pixel density has to be the same. These images were taken at 4 megapixels, so they're very large images. Each image needs to be grayscaled, meaning the color needs to be removed from the image before the quantitative analysis can take place. Uh, Leaving the color pixels in place skews the uh, outcome by 2 to 5%. So going to grayscale gives us a more accurate answer. Now special software can be used to analyze the image files. The software determines a delta percentage difference between two coins. For example, we could use the extremely fine obverse image and compare it to the next grade down very fine obverse image, and the software will calculate a percentage difference between the two. A higher percentage, say 10 or 15%, should make it easier to distinguish or tell the differences between the two coins. However, a small percentage, like 1 or 2%, would make it harder for the human eye to detect a difference between the two obverse coins. The software at the end of its analysis creates a data file which contains the results, and basically the delta percentage difference between each coin, the obverse comparisons, the reverse comparisons, and then a average of the two together. The data file can then be loaded into any spreadsheet for further analysis and charting. The first results were comparing the obverse, in this example, the extremely fine obverse with the very fine, The analysis revealed nearly a 6% delta between these two coins, which should be enough to make it fairly easy for the human eye to distinguish the difference. Whereas if you compare the results between the good and almost good, that delta percent difference was only a little over 2%, making it, 3 times harder nearly to distinguish between those two grades. The chart here reveals all of the deltas between all the grades, and at the end of the chart it compares each grade with the poorest graded coin. The reverse analysis, for example, between the extremely fine and very fine reverse produced about a 5% delta, so slightly more difficult to distinguish between the reverse than the obverse. And if you look at the uh, analysis for good compared to almost good, in this case, the reverse was a little easier to distinguish. It was nearly a 4% delta instead of just a 2% delta, so almost twice as easy to distinguish the differences on the back side of the coin. Um, and again, more analysis for the rest of the coins between each grade, and then comparing each grade with the poorest graded coin. The final analysis combines the obverse and reverse calculation to provide a whole coin delta percentage difference between any two given coins. In the case of the extremely fine, very fine delta, the combination is about 5% for the coins as a whole, and for the good, almost good, that's around 3%. So, what I also find interesting is that the trend sometimes goes up, and it becomes looks like a little more difficult to distinguish uh, higher graded coins, and it becomes easier to distinguish the differences between lower graded coins. The two key points I take away from this analysis is that grading is very difficult to do, and quantitative automated computer-based analysis is no substitute for an experienced eye. The results of this quantitative analysis also reinforce the difficulty in grading because a coin has two sides, and the delta percent difference between two graded coins is hard to arrive at when the obverse can be much different than the reverse. And how do you arrive at a grade for the whole coin when you have to take both sides into consideration? The data shows the difficulty in this task. The last point I'd like to emphasize is that the quantitative analysis does show, at least with these 10 coins, that it is easier to grade lower quality coins compared to the higher quality coins. High end coins, the delta percentage differences tends to be smaller, and there's less information to go by to determine what the grade should be. Whereas the delta percent differences between lower graded coins is 2 to 3 times in some cases higher, and so the differences are easier to spot, and so it seems to me that it is easier to grade lower quality coins. Congratulations if you made it this far. Thanks for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed this analysis.